Alright y'all, we're back at it. The other night I went ahead and installed the front cam seals and the rear plugs. I got new plugs and new seals. I used a socket. Before I took the old one out, I did measure the depth past the chamfering here, and boy, it's probably going to be a couple millimeters past. But it's very important that you make note before you pull them off, and then of course drive them in squarely. I used a little bit of silicone that I rubbed on the rim, got it in there, and then I put a little bit kind of on the outer edge just for extra insurance. So what I'm doing, guys, is adjusting the valve lash. I got the cam in such a way where all the lobes are pointing down, and I got no stress on the valves at all. And what it calls for, guys, on the 2000 through 2005 model, which is the one I have, and I'm going out of the book here, Subaru Haynes Repair Manual. Intake are supposed to be 0.007 to 0.009, so that's 7 or 9 thousandths of an inch. And then exhaust is 9 to 11 thousandths. And what I'm doing is I'm setting them to the lowest number. I've already done the passenger head, so I've got the 9 ready here. So let's go ahead and do the exhaust side. And what I'm going to do is just loosen up each adjusting nut. You don't need to do them, you know, feel free to do them one at a time. And then, so double check 0.009. And then when you're doing this, you want to have a light drag. So I'm going to put my feeler gauge in there, tighten it to where it doesn't move. Oops. And just back it off. Okay, I'm going to leave it in there. Tighten our lock nut. I'll finish tightening them all here in a minute. Alright, that's pretty good. If you want to double check, jump up to the next one, which is the 0.008. And if you did it right, the 0.008 should not even fit. It should go in about halfway, or a little bit past a quarter of the way. That fits all the way in there. So, oh, duh. I meant 10, guys. This one's 9 to 11 thousandths. So there it is. The 10 goes in about halfway, so it's perfect. So let's go back here. Okay. We're gonna go to the other valve here. This one actually feels really good already, but we're gonna tighten it to where it doesn't move. Just past. Okay. Leave it in there, and you're supposed to hold the set screw, but I've been watching them and they haven't really moved at all. It's a little bit tight. Of course, they will probably want to turn with you when you tighten. I kind of knew I had it a little bit too tight there. Okay, that feels better. Okay, let me leave that there. Alright. Let's double check. Ooh, it's a little bit tight. Yeah, that feels good. So you got to get the ones with the angle, because I'm working with a. That's pretty good. Let's look at the 10. Alright, that's good. Alright, got these two done. There's no torque spec for these, so just nice and tight. Obviously, it'll be easy to over tighten. Alright. So, and then, something like I said before in one of the other videos, some people want you to do this with the timing belt hooked up. Then you got to go through the whole sequence of making sure that everything's, you know, all the valves are closed. And I really don't see much of a difference. As long as you're sure that you have, you know, you're not on any lift. of the lobe. Lift of the lobe. So, pretty straightforward. I'm definitely ready to get these heads bolted back up. Okay, let's go ahead and double check. You should feel a slight drag. This one I have a bad angle coming back out, so I'm not surprised why there's and again, guys, it's a little bit deceptive without having the right I don't really like how that's not really flush with it, but I'm sure it gets flush once it angles up. So again, guys, this is not rocket science. You just want to make sure that there's not so much lash that it's noisy, and not so tight that so if you're over tightening, you'd probably find the valves opening a tad too early, stuff like that. Alright, so our exhausts are done. Just double check, tightening. I'll probably triple check the other ones. Alright, so that's done. We're going to go to the intake and go down to 0.007. Do the same exact thing on this side. And I've got my trusty 2x4 screwed down in my bench so this thing isn't going anywhere. Alright. So I got my 0.7 or 0.007. These ones are way loose. Okay. I would definitely recommend getting a set of feeler gauges that have the little 45-degree bend in them. Alright, that feels a little loose. Let's get the 0.08 and see what we think here. Again, guys, if the size above doesn't go in, you're good. Which is the case. Alright. After this, I have to clean the engine block surface and install the new crank seal. And of course clean the exhaust mating surface. I got my list going over here. I'll show you here in a minute. Okay. Alright, that's good there. Feels a tad loose. Let's go back to our 0.08. 8 thousandths, I should say. Alright, cool. Let's double check here. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm like all up in the camera view. And once I get a better tripod, guys, and I'm still working with my my iPhone. I do have the GoPro on standby, but as you know, it's not that great at close-ups. I get a tripod. That way I can set the camera up and zoom in and really do a better job at filming so everybody can see exactly what I'm doing instead of me just squawking about it. Okay. Let's go ahead and I need to get right here. Sorry, guys. Let's do this. All right. We're tight. It's feeling good. I'm just gonna double check this far one. That's basically it, guys. It's not, like I said, rocket science. You just want to make sure that they're not going to be super noisy and they're not going to be trying to open too early. So here's my list. I just finished adjusting the valves. Got to prep the block, crank seal. Oh, the front plugs, the Allen plugs, I got 2 of them up front that are leaking. I got to seal those. Then I'll be ready to torque the heads. Then the valve covers. Then the water pump timing set. Then the intake manifold. Then all the rest of the accessories. Flush the oil. I got to do a transmission service on it. And then over here, I got to get the tires off of it so my dad can get the new ones put on. He's gonna go do that. He's gonna get a battery for us. Got to order the parts that I need to do all this, and then I'll diagnose the door locks. So that's it, guys. Here's the seal there. Let me hold on to my seal. So as you can see, I kind of just put a little silicone in there, and everything's looking really good. I'm just hoping nothing leaks. And that's it, guys. So that's adjusting the valves. Good luck on yours. Any questions at all, let me know. Alright, y'all, this is the front crank seal. We're going to go ahead and remove it and replace it. These 2 plugs that I'm going to seal up, if I can get them out, these are just access plugs to remove the pistons, I believe. Either the piston to connecting rod top part. Yeah, of course, that's the only thing it could be. Alright, sorry guys, I'm trying to, here we go. This is the main one that was actually leaking. I need to actually take more video and then look at it because it's hard to tell what's actually going on back here. Back behind there, is that just a cavity or what? That looks weird. Oh, I gotta love this camera. Not just like some oil, just like the casting mark. So, let me get these changed. I don't have, it's like a 13 or 14 millimeter Allen. And I don't actually have one, so I need to go get one. But what we're going to look at, guys, is the depth of the seal. If you look closely here, where the chamfering ends is where the seal kind of sits. It's almost flush. It's just about flush with this, but it's literally like beneath it about a millimeter. And if I'm feeling it, yeah, it's not bad. Maybe this part is a little bit further out than this part, but I'm gonna do my best to remove it without scratching anything. We'll go ahead and get it cleaned up and go back together. Alright, y'all, she came out really easily. It's the old one. I want to show you how I did it. This little seal puller. Basically, I first, obviously in any way you can, like this basically, get the dewey bobber underneath that lip and then rotate it so where it's kind of it's like this basically behind the lip. And then sometimes the difficult part in using this deal is setting it up to where, like what I ended up doing was going, imagine it's inside there, and then I went to here, and then what you do is you just pry it, and it came out beautifully. Sometimes if they're hard, hardened, or for some reason, I don't know, I've gotten them. Some of them have been huge pains in the butt. This one worked out good. Again, the seal was just below this chamfering, and so we're gonna get everything cleaned up. I'm gonna put just a dab of silicone along the rim of the new seal, get this installed, and I think we'll be done for the night. Like I said in the last segment, I need to get a, it looks like a 13, probably a 14 or 14 plug. I'll probably call Subaru Parts actually, as I talked to a guy there who helped me out, find out what they do with that, and just make sure I don't want to open up a can of worms basically with that. So if it's going to seep oil and it's not a big deal to leave it, we'll do it. But we should be able to get them out. You see how shallow the plug recesses, or the you know, where you put the tool, and that's not a good sign for you know, if things are really stuck, you're liable to kind of walk the tool out of that. But you know, it's doable. There it is, guys. We're gonna get this new one in. All right, y'all, we have gotten everything cleaned up. Basically just sprayed some brake clean on a rag and wiped it around a couple different times. Get it nice and clean, guys, because we're gonna put a little dab of silicone around the edges of our new seal. Just a paper thin I'm gonna get the automatic focus going here. Just a paper thin around the edge here, and I'm gonna use some of that engine assembly lube in the middle, and then we're gonna tap it in very squarely to where we are just a skosh below the edge of the where the chamfering ends going in. And I will maybe I don't know if I'll do my famous dab around the edges, which is the ultimate do not come back to my shop move. So and then here's where we're at, guys. Adjusted the valves tonight. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not tonight. I'm probably going to go in after midnight. Sorry, I'm about to burp. I'll have this installed by tonight, and then yeah, tomorrow I'll prep the block, tires off to my dad, order the parts tomorrow, figure out if I'm going to do this or not, get the right tool, and then by tomorrow night I want to have the heads torqued. These beauties. Telling you what, this is a hard job. This is a very tedious job getting all these cleaned up. The only thing these things got done at the machine shop were the resurfacing of the well, the surface. Anyways, it was warped a little bit, and I had everything apart, cleaned everything up, lapped the valves. Adjusted the valve lash here. Got our new seals installed. Here's our back seal. Again, I just put a little sprinkling there in the little gap just to help out, and get her done, y'all. But we're slowly getting it done. This has been a long process. As you can see, all these parts up here. These are all mostly going to be replaced except for the sprockets. And then, of course, these are basically old parts. Valve covers will go on once we get everything torqued. Good old Subaru. Taking up my time. Over and out. Posing for a thumbnail here. Alright, y'all, we have got her installed. As you can see, sort of a little bit actually past where I needed it. In fact, you can see the line there. There's a little black line past the chamfering. A little bit past where I wanted it. But that's okay. A lot of times you want to find a new surface for the seal anyway if it's an older engine. I.e., there's going to be a groove in the shaft, and if you put the seal exactly the same place every single time, you're going to end up wearing the metal thin enough to where it's always going to create a little leak. So I've got it a little bit further back. I'm really happy with it. I put silicone on the rim of the seal. I'm trying to convince myself that I don't have to do my crazy little but I'm still gonna do it. I'm just gonna do a little bit of silicone right in this little valley here. Do not overdo it. I'm talking about, it's basically like a little wisp at a time. And then you can run your finger around it and just get a little bit. We're talking about a millimeter amount of silicone just in between that little valley, that little channel. It's just extra insurance and it's not necessary. But once I do that, I'll throw the gear back on there. And then we'll be, of course, cleaning up our water pump surface, dealing with our plugs, our piston access plugs, and what I may or may not do tonight is get these I haven't even looked at these. I should have inspected these a long time ago. Just gonna really quickly wire wheel them. I'm gonna do some brake clean. I'm gonna get this ridge cleaned up. It's just basically a carbon ridge. Right there. It's basically oily, coolanty, nasty. I'm telling you, this head gasket, you want to nip this thing in the bud quicker. The sooner you do this on your Subaru, the better. You do not want to wait this long. Because, like I said, I've said in the past, the oil gets in the coolant gets in the oil. It didn't get to extremes on this one, but it created enough havoc where it's been a pain in the butt to clean it on my own. So, but look at that beautiful seal. That does not need anything more. It really doesn't, guys. In fact, I'm gonna leave that. I really am. If that leaks, I'll come in here and change it. Nobody hardly even puts silicone on the rim, and I'm trying to put some on the valve. It is a really good technique, though. Like if you're gonna go cross country and you're wanting everything to just hold up as much as possible, that's actually something you would want to do. So, my extra mile spirit wants me to do it anyway, and that's actually what I will do, even though I'm talking this crazy madness back and forth. I just want to represent a clear picture to everyone on how to be a proper mechanic. Front seal. There it is. I'm trying to get these good camera angles. Look at that. There's the keyway. It's really cool. Alright, y'all. Sorry if it's making you dizzy. Over and out, guys. Alright, y'all. This is actually just so I can inspect this. I'm gonna make sure I didn't get any on the seal. Let's see the surface here. So it's not a perfect, there's a little teeny gap there, it's okay. Anyways, guys, like I said before, this is a little bit overdoing it, but as long as you don't get any silicone to get in where the shaft, you know, you don't want to obviously goop up a bunch of stuff here. Really wouldn't matter probably, but the sealing lip is on the back side. So this is just kind of a dust seal anyway. But guys, that's what it's all about. You want to set these things up to where they don't leak. And you wouldn't do this probably if you're working at a shop. Well, I don't know, guys. It's really not necessary probably. But here I am spending another minute and a half, 2 minutes on the damn silicone. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Anyways, y'all, having a good time getting these things fixed. Over and out. Crank seal done. Booyah. Alright, y'all. Next day here. I don't know what the last thing I did was the crank seal here. I got these access plugs out. They are just simple plugs to access the wrist pin clips to remove the pistons. Sorry. Let me make sure this one looks okay. I actually can't even see this one from up top here. So I got them all cleaned up, and I had to go out and get a 14mm Allen wrench, freaking big dog. And then they do sell new copper crush gaskets for it, but I actually called the Subaru parts, and they said most of the time they'll just get some silicone. So I'm going to put some silicone on both sides of the gasket. Put just a teeny bit of silicone at the beginning of the threads here, and then run those back in, and then we will do some finish prep work on the block and start to get the heads torqued down. All right, y'all, touching down. I got the plugs installed, of course. Things are good to go. And I tried to install this passenger side head with the engine in its lowered position. And I probably could have done it with a second pair of hands, but man, I had the toughest time, and I ended up bending the gasket a little bit. I was able to flatten it back out. Anyways, I went ahead and unbolted the two mounts. They're just one nut, 14mm nut on each side. I got the floor jack with the wood block. Obviously, be very careful with the oil pan. Got it jacked up as far as I can, and I got my pry bar to make sure the motor mount studs are out of the slots up, and then I even had to have this ratchet strap jack it this way to get enough clearance to get the stinking bolts in. Golly. And then what I did is I installed them dry. Well, I did put a little bit of oil on the threads, but you also want to put a little bit of oil on the washers, the both faces of the washers. That way your threads are lubricated for proper torque, but also the bolt faces, the washers, all that isn't just grinding against metal. Again, you're going to get a better torque. And so I'm getting the 6 bolts finger tight. The black marked ones should go in the middle. I'm not exactly sure what the whole difference is in that. It is a different part number, so you should have 4 bolts for each side that go in the middle, and then the outer sides are different part numbers, so make sure you do that correctly. So again, we're going to get finger tight, and then we're going to follow the torque sequence, and then tomorrow I'm going to relieve all the pressure on it tonight, and then I'll have the engine jacked up this way, and I'll probably need a second set of hands because this is even tighter right here with this slope here. As you can sort of see, I mean, there's a ton more room from here. Obviously, I have it jacked this way, but the engine naturally has a little less room on this side. So anyways, once you get everything installed, guys, make sure you cover everything up. You don't want random crap falling in your beautiful reconditioned heads. By the way, how freaking nice those look. I'm like double checking, making sure I have the right head installed on the right side. Obviously, you want to make sure your intakes are pointed up. The seal's looking good. Finally, this thing is coming back together. And I was pissed for a minute there because this stupid thing was not going back together as it was. So with leaving the engine in the car, obviously with the single overhead cam, you can basically remove the heads, but to get them back on, you're going to have to jack up the motor a little bit. And then I like this idea here of do the passenger side. I probably will install the valve covers too while I'm in here, and just make sure everything's done, torqued, valve covers, boom. And then I'll probably leave them off actually, just due to the fact when I crank it this way with the valve covers on, I might come up against this. So just in case, we're going to leave that off. You crank it this way, get that stinking driver's side on there, and then we will be downhill from there pretty much. But if you've done this before and you got all the tools, I would definitely recommend pulling the engine. Make it a lot easier, but that is of course getting everything back there. There's a lot more work, obviously. Apparently for the double overhead cam turbos for this year, which is the 98 to 05, I think is the grouping, I'm not sure. Apparently with the dual overhead cam, you definitely need to remove the engine because there's just not enough room. So, all right, y'all, we're gonna get these torqued. Torque sequences are pretty much readily available. No matter, at some point during the video, we'll look at those, but I'm not gonna do that in this segment. So, over and out, and get these things torqued. All right, y'all, this is the torque sequence. Cylinder heads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously, pick whichever side you want to start on. So the one I'm working on, it's a 2000 to 2004. You can see these steps. Basically, you torque it partially, then up to 51. Then you loosen them, all the bolts up. Basically, they all got just almost finger tight again. Run the 1 and 2 down to 25. Run 3, 4, 5, and 6 down to 132. And then turn all of them at 80 to 90. And then turn all of them 80 to 90. So I recommend marking the bolts, the ones that you can see, just where you can kind of watch the degrees, because all I was doing was kind of eyeballing it. And at the end of the day, you just want to make sure they're all nice and tight. It's not an exact science, but I was able to at least watch one of your bolts and make sure that you're getting at least to 180 after you last torque, because it's asking for 80 to 90. I probably went 100, or I probably went to like up to 200 degrees maybe. Who knows? It's nice and tight, guys. It's not going to be a huge thing, but obviously you want to get it as close to spec as possible. Here's some of the other models. Pause and take a look, but I am finally done for the night. This thing was a huge pain in the butt, but this head is torqued. Victory for the day. I'm going to relieve the pressure on the engine here, and let's try to do it here. All right, cool. Let's get this off of there. I'm going to get everything restructured for tomorrow. It's well after midnight. So, and let me go ahead and, well, not getting much movement with the old engine here. Take a look. Sure, it's pretty wedged around. Biggest thing is you want to make sure the studs on the motor mounts, you want to make sure you don't. These ones look actually decent. You can't really see them. Basically, the threads don't go all the way to the tip. If they did, you'd risk marring up the threads and not being able to thread your nut on. But they made these well. And let's see here. Okay, well, all the pressure's off. It's just sitting there. What I'll have to do once I get the motor, the heads on this side, it's actually probably going to be not that difficult, but basically the next step will be to get the motor mount seated again. And right now it's up and over, so I'm going to probably have to kind of pry bar my way back in there. Hopefully it won't be too much of a pain, but all right, y'all, we're gonna get this thing done. This thing's a pain in the butt. Let's get her done.